Many insurance agencies know that they want to hire more agents, but only a very small percentage successfully does that. Recruiting at scale in insurance agencies usually means hundreds or thousands of conversations, and that usually leads to burned out employees or expensive recruiting that doesn't work. And Gary, someone who wanted a different solution, did not like that either, which is why in this video I'm going to break down a real system that we deployed for this insurance agency, which saves over 100 hours each month, $60,000 per year, and consistently recruits agents without any human involvement. And so this isn't a chatbot demo. I'm going to be showing how the system actually works, why it's powerful, and how we even managed to handle compliance. And so here's the walkthrough, the insurance recruiting system that's saving $60,000 yearly. In this video, we're going to be switching back and forth from my walkthrough to my interview with Gary, so you can get a glimpse of not just my explanation, but also his responses. So now let's go ahead and get started with this entire story. I'm excited to show you how this looks like. And so first things first, we're going to start with the outcome, just so you can get an idea of this system's impact. Now, Gary's goal, which was to hire 30 insurance agents, would be difficult to accomplish unless there was a system in play that would make it easier. And so to run such a large recruiting operation, you would need three main pillars for it. Number one would be for it to be cost effective, which is exactly what the system did, saving these 5-figure costs and running on just around $6 per hour, as you'll see me break down later in this video. The second pillar that's needed for this effective recruiting system is going to be volume. You need to reach upwards of 100 to 200 per day. And finally, it needs to be time effective and actually efficient. So what we did is we had to replace 4 hours a day of manual work. So that was our third pillar. But what would be the point of me talking to you about the outcome if there wasn't a problem to begin with? Now here's the problem. Whenever you want to go and expand with ambition, it's unfortunately going to be pretty costly. And so hiring 30 agents is obviously a mess in terms of the time and cost that it takes. And as established, emailing to recruit other insurance agents is usually not a good channel. Now email can be used in other parts of your insurance business, like I've showed in some of my past videos, but this is not exactly the case where it would be used. Now, on the other hand, texting and calling does the job well because you're reaching out to people on the place where they're most active, their phone, and pretty much at any time of day, they can notice that a text or a call has come through to them. And you can't really say the same thing for email. So let's take a look at the two other possible solutions that were considered previously. We have hiring VAs and also using staff. Now, hiring a VA is extremely cost efficient. For $5 to $10 per hour, you can have them initiating a lot of conversations, but the problem is that these conversations can only be accomplished through text, not necessarily calling, because they're not as experienced in the insurance industry. It's more difficult to have a conversation over the phone than through text. So very quickly, this idea was ruled out. While it's good in theory, you can also automate the texting of it by launching SMS campaigns, so it's not the brightest idea. Now, the second possible solution is getting staff to recruit people. Now, the obvious pro in here is that your staff can text and call. They're pretty familiar with insurance terminology, what they're doing, what the end goal of this is, but because of this, you're paying them a relatively handsome wage over the year, so it doesn't end up satisfying our first pillar of cost effectiveness over here. And so with those two ideas seemingly out of the play, the question turned into, what do we do now? And the most practical way to answer that question is to just move on to my next slide, which is the actual solution that we deployed. Now, since I'm trying to be completely transparent, I'm going to be listing both the pros and the cons here as well. The obvious pros of this is that it is cost efficient. As you can see here, this is the cost for just 1 minute of calling, usually around 10 cents. Which means that if the AI phone calling system is running for an hour, it comes out to just $6. And later in this video, where I show you a demo of how all of this sounds, you're going to be convinced that these conversations are pretty human sounding.
What that would be worth versus what I have now, I think 4 or 5 times. I mean, if this is a legit person, this guy's bringing people in after, like you said, they call them and close them on one call. That would be worth 5 times what I'm paying right now, at least.
So it'd be like a full-time employee, in essence, that you're paying. And the best part is that they can be performed at a high volume. So each phone number can, on average, handle 10 calls at once, which is pretty impressive because usually you would think that per phone number, you can only have one person dialing, but this is actually not true. With this kind of setup, you can call 10 people at once and do this 10 times faster. And so obviously there's no limit if you want to call a lot of people at once. You just need some more phone numbers. And a reasonable volume for just one phone number would be around 200 calls per day. And so even though this was technically an outbound cold calling system, it was still TCPA and enterprise compliant just because we were able to source compliant leads that wouldn't get us fined if we cold called them. And now for the cons. This was originally planned for around 2 weeks, but because of optimization and connection approval issues with the apps that we were trying to connect, this took over a month. And even though this is kind of a one-time thing, because if you've set it up once, you'll be familiar on how to connect things and get approval from them every other time, this was still a small roadblock that we faced, but eventually got over. And so here's some screenshots of the actual solution, and I'll go back here in just a second when I explain the tech that we use over here. And this consisted mainly of 3 platforms. The first platform was called Vapi. It's where you set up the actual voice agents and create them so that they can call people. That's also somewhere where you can get phone numbers that allow you to place up to 10 calls at once. Followed by that, we had NAN, which was our connection machine here. Think of every component in this setup, like the voice agent, the CRM, the SMS sending that we did right after the call, and pretty much anything else as separate pieces of paper. Now, when you get NAN, which is the glue for all of those different platforms, you basically get a collage of those different papers, and you're able to have them all in one piece. And so that's exactly what NAN does, connecting every technical component that you can think here. And then I'm sure we're all familiar with Go High Level. It's a very nice CRM, and it's where we were sending SMS messages from. So not only were we able to track every lead after every call, but it also made it very simple for us to send text messages directly from the same platform. And as I said before, these were the workflow screenshots from NAN. Now I'm not exactly going to be sharing this large workflow just because of privacy reasons and the simple fact that I don't want to leak it to everyone. But if you're an insurance agent that's eyeing a similar phone system or another phone calling or AI system overall, feel free to get in touch. I've opened up a few more one-on-one consultation spots inside of my calendar. So if you want to talk about AI systems, something else, or life in general, you can always book that free 30-minute consult using the link in the description.
I could show you a way to get 30 agents on your team without you lifting a finger. You seem like the type of person that'd jump all over that.
But the way this system works in 2 pieces is essentially a trigger workflow. So as you can see here, this has a time icon. And what this would do is from Monday to Thursday, it would trigger at certain times, get the tens or hundreds of leads that we would upload inside of a Google Sheet and push them over to this large workflow. As you probably noticed, this large workflow has many different branches, which are those lines over here. So that's one way, here's another way, and even splits up 2 more times over here. But the main idea is that it's a flexible but still reliable system because after it places the call and after the call is finished, it actually analyzes the call transcript to see if the caller was interested. And based on whether they're not interested, neutral, or interested, it's going to go down different paths. And then based on what they said in the transcript, it's either going to send an SMS message or it's not going to send an SMS message. But if that was a bit confusing, in sum, what it does is it gets leads, it calls them, identifies whether they're interested, and then based on that, it sends them a text message for next steps about this opportunity, after which they can get in contact and possibly book an interview slot. And I actually totally forgot about this box that I had here, but just for you to see it another way, we plug in a lead list into the system. Each call is also actually personalized, so that's something I didn't note. But from here, we have the AI voice agent handling those calls, the qualification logic, which detects their interest, as I said, logs outcomes in the CRM, and then also what follow-ups to perform, and finally sets personalized text to those people. And so something major we're not doing is we're actually adding SMS as a secondary channel, which can go ahead and contact those people in 2 ways. So in case they don't notice or ignore the text or call, there's always the other option to back it up. And so once again, why this is powerful is for several reasons. I think 5 over here if I'm not counting wrong. But number 1 is that it eliminates repetitive outbound work. Not many people exactly enjoy the thought of calling people that they don't know and asking whether they would be interested in a job. So it eliminates that, as well as the fear and more so the inconsistency of cold calling, which would be reason number 2. And most importantly, it pretty much scales without hiring or training. So you put in the instructions once, you refine them over time to get the best instruction set possible. And from there, the AI is basically trained and equipped with the necessary resources to actually hold a conversation with the person that it's calling. Number 4, this obviously works across voice and SMS. That's a pretty horrible 4, but ignore that. And number 5 is that humans step in only when it matters. So we have control over the system, but it doesn't constantly demand for us to control it. And so that's really the beauty of those systems, where you can create something powerful, but still be able to control and regulate it so you can see what is happening and what you can improve on. And now, just so I can give you a glimpse of how the system sounds like, let me go ahead and run a quick demo where I talk to a voice agent that has specifically been created for me and the fake profile of an insurance agent that I have made up for myself. Hello.
Hi, my name is Donna. with Global Financial Impact. I see that you're life licensed on the registry. Is that still true?
Yeah, that's true. Why are you calling?
Appreciate you asking, Azim. I'm reaching out because we're inviting experienced agents to check out what we're building at GFI, Global Financial Impact. Quick snapshot. Our team's all about an AI-driven system, real contractual ownership, and comp that goes 7 layers deep plus 21 bonuses. Nothing to sell you. Just a brief look at a program where leaders scale fast using tools instead of just personality. Would you be open to getting a short interactive experience overview? It'll show exactly how top agents are winning with us. If you like it, next steps. If not, no worries. Can I send that to this email, akodare863@gmail.com?
Yeah, you can send it over for sure.
Perfect. Thanks, Azim. Just to recap, you'll get a short interactive overview that walks through how our top people are scaling, details on transparent pay, and what ownership looks like here. It'll take maybe 15 minutes to review. No commitment, just see if it fits. I'll send that to akodare863@gmail.com right now. When do you think you'll have a chance to take a look?
I mean, I just want to get like a better idea of how this actually works. What is the link that you're sending me? What's it for?
It's a great question, Azim. Makes sense you'd want clarity. The link I'll send is a short interactive overview. Think slides and quick videos, not a bunch of reading. It breaks down how our agents get paid, the ownership path, and how our system lets you scale without working harder. No pressure or obligations. Just info so you can decide if it's even worth a conversation. If it clicks, you'll have a direct option to chat with a leader or ask questions. If not, totally cool. Sound good? Should I send it over now so you can take a look when you have a moment?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, just send it over and I'll probably check it out. Thank you.
Awesome, Azim. I'll send that now. Just look for an email from GFI. Subject line will mention the interactive overview. Appreciate your time. After you've had a look, if you want to dig deeper or have questions, there's an easy way to book a quick call right in the overview. Thanks again for being open, Azim. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So as you just saw over there, I had a conversation with the agent itself. It knew exactly who I was. It asked the right question of whether I'm a licensed insurance agent, validated the reasons for my questions, and also gave me information in a very presentable and concise way. And the reason this works is because as an insurance agent or anybody else, another job opportunity really isn't a joke, and it's something serious, which is why a voice agent like this is very helpful, just because it allows to get the quick message across to many people at once and give them further steps. And so believe me, I'd love to go ahead and share these templates with every insurance agency that needs them so that they can hire more agents. But the truth is, just because every agency has different compliance, it has different needs, it has different approval times, you can't exactly duplicate these systems one for one. But this doesn't mean I'm not going to help the other insurance agents. Because if you see in any of my past videos, I've actually built simpler versions of these kind of templates for outbound calling that you can take advantage of yourself for free because I simply give them out. And a common pattern I've seen with systems is that what actually works is mapping things out specifically for your operation. And so if you'd like help doing that, you can book that free one-on-one consultation I mentioned earlier in the video. We can talk for 30 minutes. You can ask me pretty much any question you would like about a setup like this or something else in mind you had about voice agents. But otherwise, thank you for watching this video. It means the world to me and I hope it helped you out in one way or another. But until then, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.